Shalom Mashpaka. I'm trying to get this where my phone will zoom correctly on here without wobbling like it just did. This morning we're going to go ahead and do that the study on tallow. Why y'all shouldn't be using anything with tallow in it, like on your skin or in your food or anything like that. There is a reason. And know this, that if there is something major that the Duval or the WORLD is pushing on you, like the past decade, I mean, they've been pushing eating organs. They've been pushing tallow, rub tallow all over your skin, eat tallow in your food. It's mostly a skin product now. And then bone broth. Bone broth is another one. All these things are Rashai or EVIL. We do not need to be partaking of them. So anyway, I'm going to do this study with y'all right quick. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but it just weren't the right timing. So if there's anything that pops up on my computer screen here, these ads and stuff, ignore them. I have no control over it. All right, first of all, we are going to learn what halab is. And halab is let's see, right over here. Halab is the FAT, or the best, or the portions of FAT. You see right up here? And it's written with the chat, the la, or the lam, and the bayit. Chat, lam, bayit. Alright. This is what it's called. This is what actual tallow, the bar tallow is in Ibrith is kharab. Okay. And you scroll down here, and over here they've got scriptures and stuff, and of course it's in, the pagan, the barring of God and JC and all that hoo-ha. But over here it gives you other Debarim for it. Now right here it's got in the KJV, everybody's very familiar with, it means best, or fatness, or fineness, or grease. It's even got marrow here, and then it's got marrow here. Do y'all even know what marrow is? The marrow in the bones. Okay, there is my phone being silly. That's what makes the DOM, or the BLOOD cells, is the marrow. Seems like I'm having all kinds of issues this morning. See, it's doing this mess like a fast beating mob beat, huh? Okay, I'm just trying to situate it because I've got my phone in front of my computer, where it won't be too, it'll focus. It's trying to do all kinds of things this morning. It's not ever really done this before. So let me see if I can move y'all closer by chance, and see if it'll stop that mess it's trying to do. Things just don't work the way they're supposed to whenever you're trying to actually do something for other folks in Yahuwah. It wants to be stubborn and not work the way it should. I'm sure a lot of y'all have experienced this. Okay, anyway, the marrow is what makes the DOM cells, the BLOOD cells, in your bones, within your bones. Now, I need to go ahead and just stop talking about marrow, because that is in the actual study of the bone broth. But that's why, that's why you do not need to be eating bone broth. I don't care how HEALTHY that the ball says it is for you. If the ball says it's too for you, you better run the opposite direction. That's a huge red flag for you. Anyway, this part right here, but we're talking about in the context now is the FAT, okay? I'm just giving you this the bar at first. I usually give you the Ibrith, or the Ibrith aka Hebrew Debarium, at the end of the videos, but I'm giving it to you right now. Anyway, there's scripture over here, and it tells you, you just read that scripture, 2 kidneys, and the FAT over here. Just different scriptures, different contexts and stuff. And you can scroll on down, read more. But my basic on it was what its description is. Okay. Alright, so anyway, tallow is chalab in ibrith. Okay, then we're going to teach you another debar right quick instead of chalab. We're going to go to this window up here. Now, like I said, I do a lot of debar or W-O-R-D studies. Let me get this to scroll down a little bit. Just want to be stubborn. Slow as molasses this morning. Let me click on it again. All these clicks. Okay. Now, the reason you need to know what a Bahama is, and I know I pronounce these differently than how they're written. The reason I pronounce them, and I've been over this before, is there was never no E, the letter E in Ibrith in the beginning. It still ain't there. So anyway, where you see like an E, a lot of times that's an A sound or A. But the actual letter, Bahama, is for a B-E-A-S-T or a A-N-I-M-A-L or a La, M-A, La. That's another thing I need to discuss with y'all about the letter La, not the Ibrith La. How we pronounce the letter La. I'm gonna speak it this time. L. All right, what does that sound like? Y'all know the Rashad, G-O-D-E-L. Okay, when you pronounce the letter La, you're honestly speaking the E-L. And that was something that hit me recently. That's another study I want to do with y'all, and that should be a short study. But so anytime you hear me speak La instead, it's going to be because I'm not actually speaking that letter right there that comes after the A, and then it's right there too, C-A-T-T, La, E, okay? Because I don't want to be speaking E-L. Well, I just spoke it accidentally just then. And you're just basically saying it, when you call upon that certain letter. How sneaky is that, right? In our letters. And I haven't even studied the actual English letters as far as like the sounds they make, except for that one kept popping up in my head. All right. Anyway, Bahama. Instead of speaking B-E-A-S-T, that's a bad debar, A-N-I-M-A, Allah, is a bad debar. And I'm thinking cattle is too, because there was something that I looked up a while back, that cattle, I got to study that one deeper, but I think there's something wrong with that one too. But anyway, Bahama, it is written with the Bayit, the Ha, the Mam, and the Ha. So Bahama. And then down here it's got the same thing. Cattle, B-E-A-S-T, A-N-I-M-A, La. A herd or kinds of cattle. So that's what your Iris Debar for that is, because you'll be hearing me speak that throughout this video. Okay, so you've learned the Debar Bahama or Bahamut. Bahamut is plural for A-N-I-M-A, La-S. Okay, so Bahamut. Because we're talking about, and I'm going to speak it now because I haven't studied the bar cattle when we're talking about cattle, because tallow, for the most part, what people are referring to tallow, most folks use cattle for it, but it doesn't only come from cattle. You have to be very, very careful. So anyway, halab is suet. Okay, suet is the FAT. All right, halab, what people call tallow. I didn't share that with y'all, but I will. Let's go into the first window. All right, what kind of bahamuts, right there, you see that at the bar? Do I need to zoom in for y'all? I can't tell. Bahamut have tallow. And I'm just going to read it off to you. Tallow is the rendered FAT of cattle or sheep, predominantly, although other bahamuts can be brought into the equation, such as horses, goats, other dead stock. And then it's got pig, FATSs have a totally different composition and are too soft to become tallow and form a group called greases or lard. Okay, and we all know to stay away from pork, period. Stay away from it. Anything about it, stay away from it. It's unclean. All right, so anyway, that's what kind of bahamut have tallow. And I've got written in my notes too down here, and it should pop up in the next screen probably. The any ruminants, bahamuts, ruminant means, you know. All right, quickly, what is a ruminants? Ruminant simply means it's a bahama that chews the cud. If y'all ain't familiar with what chews the cud, it's like, you know, it's a bahama that will eat the food and then basically regurgitate it back up from their stomach and chew on it again and then swallow it back. So that's what it means by bahama that chews the cud. Bahamuts, ruminant, means, you know, they eat grass and that's it. You know, they just roam the lands eating grass, vegetation, stuff like that. So, I mean, mostly, you know, grass. So ruminant. The ruminants, bahamuts, is what tallow comes out of. Okay, click on this window here. What kind of FAT is tallow? Tallow is a hard rendered bahama FAT made primarily from cows, sheep, or goats. It is made by melting down hard bahama FAT like suet from around the kidneys or straining out impurities from around the kidneys. Okay, y'all keep that in mind. And we're going to go to the next window. These are questions I asked to form this video. Where is the tallow FAT found on a bahama? Now this is the important part, because we are commanded, law, N-O-T, law, to eat of the FAT of the bahama around these certain areas. You know, and I mean, we're not supposed to eat the FAT, period, anyway, but this is especially around these certain areas. I'll give you scripture for that. Beef tallow is a edible, this is them telling you this now, Google, okay, or any other search engine. Beef tallow is an edible FAT found underneath the skin and near the organs of a ruminant's bahama. Near the organs, remember that, of a ruminant's bahama, typically a cow, making up about 5 to 6% of the bahama's total weight. The tallow used in food is produced by rendering or melting down this FATTY tissue. Okay, so question, where is the tallow FAT found? And it is underneath the skin and near the organs of a ruminant's bahama. Next question. Oh, this was something I was looking up whenever I was doing my research. It's called Kau, F-A-T. Um, this is the whenever if y'all are familiar, and a lot of you probably ain't. I don't know how Rabat or Many of y'all have lived on a farm or are on a farm or are even familiar with butchering your own behemoths. But there is a certain FAT, and it's kind of like stringy. So anyway, I was looking into that, and it's called the Kaul or Kaul FAT. It's the thin web-like membrane of FAT that surrounds the internal organs of behemoths like pigs, cows, sheep. It's known as lace FAT or FAT nettin, or the greater almentum. Chefs use it to wrap lean meat, sausages, pâtés. I guess that's how you pronounce that. But that's the FAT that's like kind of like really stringy on a Bahama, because we raise our own cattle, and we recently had a heifer of ours. They came here on the farm and you know, put her down, and then of course, you know, I can't think this morning. Gutted her here on the farm and everything, and then we had the meat processed. But there's a certain type of FAT surrounding the muscles and the meat itself, and it's really just stringy. So anyway, I was just looking up what that was, and it's called Kaul FAT. So that kind of explains that. It's the web-like membrane that surrounds the internal organs of animals. I'm sorry, of the behemoths. Like here, you see here. And I was curious, is Kaul FAT same as tallow? Because I was, you know, I'm trying to make sure we don't eat anything that's not supposed to be eaten, even of a clean behemoth. Okay? And just because it's a clean behemoth, you know, like a cow or a sheep, there's still parts of that critter that you ain't supposed to eat. All right. Well, the Kaul FAT is a lacy web-like FAT wrapped around the organs of a behemoth. Typically, it's used to wrap around cuts like roast. But these people here, they decided, now listen to this, they decided to render it into tallow. Kaul FAT is actually a cod of the most nutritious. Now this is what they say, y'all. Don't take this, okay? Don't amuna this. It's one of the most nutritious FATs you can utilize in your kitchen, and this is a unique way to add it to your recipes. Okay, the reason I just read that is because this is what popped up here. But they decided to render it into tallow. Okay, so anyway, we're not supposed to be eating the Kaul FAT either, because it can be rendered into tallow. Plus, it is the web-like FAT wrapped around the organs of a behemoth. So it is unclean. I haven't looked over these notes in like a couple weeks, so I'm kind of like going through this with y'all. If I kind of like stutter for a second, I'm trying to bring it back to my Zakar. Okay. So anyway, the Kaul FAT is a no-no too, because it's what wraps around the organs of the behemoth. So Kaul FAT, tallow, big no-no. Here we go. All right, let me scroll up here a little bit. Oh, down. Tallow is forbidden in Scripture. Here we see that tallow, specifically KPH tallow, or the FAT that encases the kidneys, other organs belong to Yahuwah. It is very clear that this FAT shouldn't be eaten, therefore should la be used to cook our food in either, or placed on our bodies, used as creams or bombs or any of that. Do you understand? The scriptures, let's see, where are my scriptures written down at? These scriptures. Okay, I got another window up here for the scripture. But this is clearly telling you that it is forbidden. It is the FAT that encases the kidneys and other organs, and aka the cow FAT is too the web-like lacin. Alright? And then you've got all these other windows. I'm just not clicking on all of them. You can study, but you're going to have to discern on all of these answers, because these are a lot of folks' opinions and their thoughts. If they don't back it up with scripture, then it's just it's their opinion. Okay, now we're going to go up here, and we're almost to the scripture parts, because I'm going to give you the scriptures, because you have to have the scriptures. Alright, I had to get my scriptures out. Okay, there is another window before I get to the actual scripture, but y'all can see we're going to get there. This was something that I thought of too. There's a reason why Yahuwah tells Lanu, or US, to La, N-O-T, do certain things. His commands is enough for me, but there is proven, scientific. I don't even like talking about that, but anyway, for other folks that need whatever, there is scientific facts on everything that backs up what Yahuwah commands his Yaladim, his children, La, N-O-T, to eat or partake of. So I looked this up and I was pretty certain of it. Does tallow hold toxins? Beef tallow may contain, or MAY, sorry, beef tallow, MAY, contain contaminants such as pesticides, hormones, or antibiotics. The toxins or pollutants stored in cows' FAT tissues eventually make their way into the folks who eat them. Do I need to repeat that? The toxins or pollutants stored in cows or any Bahama, ANIMA, law, FAT tissues eventually make their way into the person who eat them. Okay? That should be enough to wake you up. We, of course, raise our cattle here on our farm. We don't, there's no additives to them. They eat the grass that is not sprayed, that is not polluted or anything. They get the hay that is not sprayed, not polluted or anything. But here's the thing, we live, or we haya, Live, in the ball that is plagued with pollutants, pesticides, everything. Even in the AIR that we breathe in when we walk outside, or even in our homes, we are constantly probably breathing in contaminants, and we are breathing in bad things because they spray the skies. They've been doing it for decades. It ain't nothing new under the Gadal War, the SUN, the Greater Light. Decades and decades and decades and decades they've been spraying skies with different ways. Therefore, our cattle outside, they eat the pure ground that we have for them. At the same time, they are breathing in toxins from the AIR, or the sky. So whatever toxins they breathe in, and undesirably, everyth's not pure anymore. That's even on your ground that's considered organic. Because of the things they spray from miles away, or the spraying of the sky, the gasham, the rain that falls, is even polluted. So my point being is, whatever they breathe or drink or eat from that, just from that alone, stores in their FAT. And the people that eat these, you know, you are consuming the toxins that this critter has consumed on its, you know, on its own. So you need to consider that as well. Now here's scripture. This is scripture where it speaks, don't eat the FAT of a Bahama. Okay, here we have Uyakura, what they call Leviticus, Uyakara. It shows some right here, but I've got some written down, and I'm going to read them out of my scriptures here. Mahalauyaua scriptures. Okay. First, we're going to turn to Uyakara, chapter 3, verse 17. Verse 17. All right. Here, specifically, it just tells you, let me see if I can put it in front of you here. All right, there. 17. We'll read above it. The Kahan will burn them on the altar as food, an offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance. All the FAT belongs to Yahuwah. Now, who does it belong to? It belongs to Yahuwah. An everlasting law throughout your generations in all your dwellings. You do Allah eat any FAT or any dam. All right, y'all saw that. Okay, now let's go to Uyakara. Y'all can look this up on your own. Chapter 7, verses 22 through 27. We're going to read that right quick like. Okay, chapter 7. And I reckon I can click it up here, but it's going to have, let's see, hang on. It's not going to be what the, as worded here in ours exactly. Let me just click on that. Give y'all something to look at here. But you can, you know, get your scriptures out and look at it. Because this is all pagan hoo-ha. But, I guess that's like their summary of it or something. But we're just going to go ahead and read it out of our scripture here. Chapter 7, verses 22 through 27. Okay. I'm just going to start with verse 20. But the being who eats the flesh of the shalom offering that belongs to Yahuwah, while he is unclean, that being will be cut off from his or P-E-O-P-L-E. When a being who touches that is unclean, of the uncleanness of Adam, or the uncleanness of Bahama, or any unclean swarming creature, will eat the flesh of the shalom offering that belongs to Yahuwah, that being will be cut off from the Okay, here we go. Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, speaking, speak to the Yaladim, or children of Yashral, speaking, do la eat any FAT of bull or sheep or goat, or the FAT of a dead body, the FAT of what is born, is used for any purpose, but you do la eat it at all. For whoever eats the FAT of the BEAST or the Bahama, or that Anush, MEN, bring as an offering made by fire to Yahuwah, even the being who eats it will be cut off from his Do la eat any dam, B-L-O-O-D, in any of your dwellings of birds or of Bahama. Any being who eats any dam, even that being will be cut off from his Okay, and a lot of folks will argue, well, this is only talking about the shalom offering that you're not supposed to eat of the FAT. No, you're not supposed to eat of the FAT of the organs and everything that surrounds the organs. I'll show you that too. All right, I brought y'all over here to my scriptures I have that has the, you know, the ivory here, the oathil, and what they call the P-A-L-E-O. It's just another ancient writing, the Qudam Kutab. Don't call it P-A-L-E-O. I got a video on why. And then the Babylonian Hebrew script, and then over here the pagan English. Alright, but I brought y'all over here to Oyakara to show y'all something. We're going to actually read all of chapter 3. We're going to read all of chapter 3 here because there's something I need to connect for y'all. But look at here. We're going to just go ahead and look at verse 3. And you see FAT that is on the entrails right there. FAT, right? You come over here, chapter 3, Naothioth, and you'll find the bar. Let me grab something to show you. Right. Let's see. Right there, ha chalab. See, ha for the chalab, the chat, the lam, and the bait. Ha chalab. So that's what we're talking about. And let's go ahead and read this. Chapter 3 of Uyakara. Let's make it focus here. Oh, everything is working against me this morning, or this Bakar. Trying to get it to focus. Or that is that he presents in a shalom offering if he is bringing it of the herd, whether male or female, he brings a perfect echad before Yahuwah. Okay. Or he will lay his head on the head of his offering, or slaughter it at the door of the tent of appointment. Or the banim of Aharon, the Kahanim, will sprinkle the dam on the altar all around. Or from the shalom offering he will bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah, the FAT or chalab that covers the entrails, or all the FAT that is on the entrails, or the 2 kidneys, or the FAT that is on them by the loins, or the appendage on the liver that he removes with the kidneys. The banim of Aharon will burn it on the altar upon the burnt offering that is on the wood that is on the fire, as an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. Or if that he presents is from the flock for a shalom offering to Yahuwah, male or female, he brings a perfect echad. If he is bringing a lamb as his offering, then he will bring it before Yahuwah. Uah will lay his hand on the head of his offering, or slaughter it in front of the tent of appointment. Or the banim of Aharon will sprinkle its dam on the altar round about. From the shalom offering he will bring near, as an offering made by fire to Yahuwah, its FAT or chalab, all the chalab tail that he removes close to the backbone, or the chalab that covers the entrails, or all the chalab that is on the entrails, or the 2 kidneys, or the chalab that is on them by the loins, or the appendage on the liver that he removes with the kidneys. Or the kahan will burn them on the altar as food, an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. If his offering is a goat, then he will bring it before Yahuwah. He'll lay his hand on its head and slaughter it before the tent of appointment. The banim of Aharon will sprinkle its dam on the altar all around. And from it he will bring his offering as an offering made by fire to Yahuwah, the chalab that covers the entrails, the organs, okay, entrails, organs, or all the chalab that is on the entrails, or the organs, or the 2 kidneys, or the fat that is on them by the loins, the appendage on the liver that he removes with the kidneys. Or the kahan will burn them on the altar as food, an offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance. All the chalab belongs to Yahuwah. An everlasting law throughout your generations and all your dwellings. You do not eat any chalab or any dam. Over here, down here, under the 17, it says kal, that means all. Chalab, right there, halab. Ua, kal, that means all. Dam, D-M, right there, that means B-L-O-O-D. Y'all see that? It belongs to Yahuwah. All right. Y'all know there are examples of tallow. You can click on yod, beef tallow uses and all this mess. They use it in cooking. They use it in soap. They use it in, I reckon they say fuel. They use it in skincare. Skincare is your number one thing that they use it in, okay? Right here. Uses for tallow. Homestead honey. Including homestead or homemade cosmetics. Skin products, candles, soap making. You know, you put it in candle, you'll be breathing into your lungs, right? Don't use tallow at all. It is forbidden. Tallow is simply the rendering down of the FAT from a ruminant Bahama, okay? That is what it is, and it looks like this creamy white. Let's see. Let's get y'all some, oh, where is it? Okay, images. Let's see what pops up here. Okay, there you go. This image right here is this creamy white. You see it? That's what it is. Lard is actually a creamy white. It's disgusting. But this is what it is. First, it looks like this over here in this mason jar. Right here. See it? That's when it's rendered down. Okay? And this is it before it's rendered down. It's chunks of fat, or I'm sorry, FAT, chunks of FAT. Right there, it's chunks of the animal's FAT. And a lot of times, you know, when you take a cow to get butchered or something, they do you want the FAT of it? And it's like, no, you know, right, law. Hang on, hush now. All right, and then whenever after it's melted, it looks like this creamy stuff right here. You know, creamy mess right here. Kind of looks like a thing of butter or ice cream. That's what it looks like. It's in all kinds of skin products, and they push it on you, telling you they claim it'll repair ATAL, your skin. And you know, your skin, people see it, it looks like it's doing great for their skin, but it's forbidden for Yashral. You don't do it. I don't care what the ball or images appear to you, or how much they say this will take away eczema and all that mess. You know why? Because Yahuwah gave his Yadim the pure, I'm trying to think of the bar, the pure creams and stuff that you can make out of what he barad. Okay, I just typed in here alternatives to using tallow. All right, there is no alternative, Yashral. We are to use the tallow, period. Don't use it. This is what you use instead. This is what Yahuwah bara, or CREATED. Shea butter. Look at here. Botanical alternatives to beef tallow. Shea butter. Shea butter is the most similar in texture to beef tallow. Shea butter's antioxidant, essential FATTY acid, or vitamin content promotes moisture retention and extra dry skin. Or you can use jojoba as a carrier oil. When you I make a lot of balms. I make a lot of body butters and stuff for this, you know, for different things like this. There's coconut carrier oil. There's olive carrier oil. You know, these are the oils that we are to be using, or the butters, on our skin in the first place, not the tallow. All right, we don't use the FAT or the suet that comes from the any Bahama. All right, even if it's a clean Bahama, we don't use it. It belongs to Yahuwah, period. That right there, and you can do your own research on all this. I encourage you to do that. Over here, I've got another window. Cooking. Okay, this is about cooking the FAT out of ground beef. Because we eat a lot of beef in our house, and this is how I do it. Because we've had our own heifer butchered. She was completely dom or bled out on our farm. You know, there's hardly any dom left in her meat at all. But when I do cook it, there's a lot of fat that comes out of the meats that's still, you know, left within that area. So what I do is I cook it, and I take it and I cook it, and then as it's cooking out of the meat, I will take it to I call a dom bowl. It's just a burgundy bowl that every time I cook meat, I take and I dump the dom if there's any dom that comes off the meat, I'll take it with a spoon and I'll get it out of the skillet and put it in that dom bowl. Any of the fat that cooks out of it. This is during the cooking process. I don't let it just continuously cook out until it's all at the end, the meat's done. I do this through the process. While the meat is cooking, I get it out as it comes out. So anyway, I dump it into the bowl, and then the fat that cooks out, I do the same thing, you know, because it'll cook out of the meat, and I'll go over there and I'll dump it in the dom bowl, and then I'll put the skillet back on the stove, and then I'll continue to cook the meat until it's cooked through, and then I'll take it, and whatever I didn't get out of the skillet that might be still in the meat per se, I'll put it on top of paper towels, and I'll press down the paper towels and get the rest of the fat out of that meat. And it will, you know, that's the process that I do, and I make sure that we don't consume what is left in there. Okay, and this is just a way to cook the fat out of ground beef. You must first brown the meat completely over medium heat. In other words, continuously just cook it, you know, and then break it in small chunks, and then use a strainer or a spoon or paper towels to separate and remove the liquid grease. Okay, so that's the thing. That's how you can cook it out of your meats. And, you know, don't let it just cook through until it gets done and then get all the grease out. Do it periodically, you know. If you have to dump the meat onto paper towels, you clean your skillet, dump the meat back into your skillet, and cook it until it's thoroughly done, you know, and keep it clean. Keep it as clean as you can. But as far as that's consuming it internally, you know, but the whole thing is, this whole study, I know it's long, I'm sorry, but is that we don't consume the tallow. We don't consume the fat, or the fat, we don't consume any of this in our bodies as Yashar. We don't layer our skin with it. You know, they say your skin's your largest organ, okay? Whatever you put on your skin, it absorbs it. It goes into your body. It don't just sit on there like a duck, you know, and like, you know, water runs off of a duck's back. Whatever you put on your skin is absorbed into your skin. Creams, balms, SALBESs, any of that, body butters, you know, shampoos or conditioners or whatever, that stuff is absorbed into your skin. Therefore, it's like your body is eating it. Therefore, don't use tallow. It is forbidden for Lanu to use tallow. Everything belongs to Yahuwah. And especially in these times, and these Yumim, you know, all these poisons and toxins that are within the tallow, you know, that's just another reason of saying he's looking after his own. Don't partake of it. And yes, Uyakra is talking about shalom offerings, right? At the same time, he's telling you straight up, you don't eat it. You don't eat these. All of these belong to Yahuwah. This is all you need to understand. Do not eat the suet, aka FAT, that is a halab of any animals, because of it surrounds the organs, the entrails. You know, it's forbidden to eat or consume for Yashar by being on Yahuwah. So anyway, that's the study. Do your own research. I know it was kind of all over the place because, like I said, I had got all this drawn up from a couple of weeks ago and hadn't had time to get back to it. I just opened it up and went with it this morning. But I do desire y'all got Bina or Bayana from it, your understanding, But yeah, if you got any tallow products, get rid of them. Learn how to make your own things. It's not hard. It really isn't. And make sure the sources you get are pure. They're or as pure as you know they can be. Okay. Because a lot of people will say something's organic and you're taking them for their debar. But just halal yaua, ask Yaua to guide you to what he needs you to do and have and consume and use, you know. But yes, there's always something other that is a pure form that we have or can have as Yashral. La the tallow. Okay, tallow is a bad thing. It's a big no-no. All right. Yaua Baruch ata ua shamarta ua kasa cover ata mashpakayi. Y'all have a Baruch Yom and Yaua. Yaua Garar, Yaua rebuke Shatan, Yaua Garar Shatan. From our walk. Zayum, this Yum Ua Layala. This Nite. Halau Yaua Yashral. Rabba Ahaba Ua Shalom Shalom. Ruma Ma Yaua.